Picture this. You are sitting in a meeting room.
Oh, yeah, we've all been there.
Right. And someone pulls up an AI-generated analysis on the big screen. Let's say it's like a competitive positioning breakdown for your biggest rival, or maybe a quarterly financial summary.
Sure.
And on the surface, I mean, it looks absolutely flawless. The formatting is perfectly structured, the tone is incredibly authoritative, and the data points look completely clean.
Yeah, it looks like a finished product.
Exactly. But then it happens. You get that pause.
Oh, the pause. It is barely a half second of hesitation, but the temperature in the room just changes. Everyone feels it.
Yeah, a quiet collective instinct kicks in. Someone casually asks, hey, where exactly did this pull from?
Right, or you glance over and see the person next to you opening a new tab.
Yes. They're quickly double-checking a market share number that just looked a little too precise. Nobody is calling out the AI directly.
No, nobody wants to be that person.
But nobody is immediately acting on that slide either.
Which is really the defining paradox of AI adoption in the modern enterprise right now. I mean, the technology produces what looks like a perfectly executed output, but the human reaction is to step back instead of leaning in.
It's wild. Well, welcome to this Amplified Impact Deep Dive with ScottWise.ai. Today, we are tailoring our conversation specifically for you, the corporate leaders and executives who are navigating the messy and honestly often frustrating realities of AI adoption.
Because it is definitely messy right now.
It really is. So our mission today is to draw from Scott Wise's AI for Leaders program, specifically diving into his anchor article, Architecting Trust.
It's a fantastic piece.
It is. We are going to explore why almost all enterprise AI governance frameworks are completely failing and how you can actually build the one layer of trust that works.
Because that pause in the meeting room, it isn't just a quirky human habit. It is a symptom of a massive, incredibly expensive scaling crisis happening across the corporate world as we speak.
And the numbers on this are just staggering.
They really are.
Like, according to a 2025 McKinsey report, 88% of organizations are using AI in at least one business function.
Right, so essentially everybody has it in the building.
Exactly. But only about 1/3 have actually scaled it enterprise-wide.
Yeah, that drop-off is huge.
And here's the statistic that should keep every executive listening to this awake at night.
The MIT study.
Yes, the MIT NANDA study shows that 95% of generative AI pilots fail to deliver a measurable profit and loss impact.
95%. That is just...
95%. Companies are pouring millions into this and getting stuck in what researchers call pilot purgatory.
Yep, pilot purgatory.
Okay, let's unpack this. If nearly 90% of organizations are using the technology, why are 95% of pilots failing to hit the bottom line? Is the tech just, overhyped and not mature enough yet?
Well, it is a totally natural assumption to blame the software, right?
Gotcha.
But the barrier actually isn't technical immaturity. And surprisingly, the primary barrier isn't even bad outputs or hallucinations.
Wait, really? It's not the hallucinations?
No, I mean, those are issues. But when you rigorously analyze the organizational behavior, executives consistently identify the roadblock as one simple word: trust.
Oh, okay.
But they misdiagnose where that trust problem actually lives. They think the problem is the AI's output. In reality, the distrust stems from a fundamental architectural mismatch within the enterprise itself.
Wait, an architectural mismatch? Meaning, like, the way we are structured to do business is fundamentally at odds with how this technology operates.
That is exactly the core issue. The most common leadership mistake happening right now is trying to build trust from the outside in.
What does that mean, outside in?
You see organizations layering on standard operating procedures, usage policies, heavy compliance frameworks, long sign-off chains.
Oh, I see.
They treat generative AI like it is just another IT software implementation.
Like rolling out a new version of Microsoft Office or an HR portal. Like, here's the employee handbook on how to use the new tool. Please sign at the bottom.
Exactly that. And Scott Wise calls this the determinism trap.
The determinism trap. Okay.
Yeah, because for over a century of management science, going all the way back to Max Weber and the Industrial Revolution, corporations have been engineered to be what cybernetics calls a trivial machine.
A trivial machine.
Right. In a deterministic system, identical inputs yield identical outputs every single time.
Okay, so think of like payroll processing.
Yes, perfect example. A payroll system you trust doesn't creatively guess how many hours someone worked.
Right. I would definitely not trust that.
Exactly. It calculates it identically every time you press run. Your organization was literally built to eliminate variance through procedural reliability. We call this causal closure.
Okay, I want to pause on that phrase, causal closure, for a second, because that feels really important. I assume that means, like, a sealed loop.
Yeah, go on.
Like, if a mistake happens, we can trace the cause back to a perfectly closed loop of human decisions.
That is a great way to visualize it. In a business with causal closure, every outcome has a clear, traceable human cause. The system is closed, predictable, and rule-based.
But generative AI doesn't work like that at all.
Not even a little bit.
It's fundamentally probabilistic, right? It calculates statistical likelihoods word by word or, well, token by token.
Yes, and that is exactly where the collision happens. Traditional IT workflows are built on explicit, static, if-then logic gates. Generative AI operates on fluid, statistical probability distributions.
But hold on, if I'm a CTO listening to this, can I just lock the AI down? I know there are settings, like turning the temperature down to 0, that are supposed to make the AI as deterministic and uncreative as possible. Doesn't that solve the problem?
Well, it is a really common workaround, but it actually fails.
Oh, it does.
Yeah, even if you dial the temperature to 0, you still get variance because of underlying architectural factors in the models, things like mixture of experts routing.
Okay, for the non-engineers listening, what does mixture of experts actually mean?
Sure, so imagine you have a room of 100 highly specialized consultants.
Okay, I'm picturing it.
When you ask a question, there's basically a manager at the door who decides which 3 consultants are best equipped to answer it.
Right, so maybe one is a grammar expert, another is a coding expert, another does logic.
Precisely. Now, even if you ask the exact same question twice, that manager might route your prompt through slightly different neural pathways or experts based on microscopic changes in the system's current computational load.
Oh, wow.
So you never get true 100% causal closure.
Okay, so trying to evaluate this probabilistic AI using deterministic corporate policies, it's like trying to judge a live jazz improvisation using a classical sheet music rubric.
That is a fantastic analogy.
Right. The system wasn't built to evaluate the performance. The sheet music says play these exact notes, but the jazz musician is reading the room, feeling the rhythm, improvising.
Really, exactly.
If you use the classical rubric, the jazz player fails every time, even if the music is brilliant.
And if we connect this to the bigger picture, you realize the root cause of pilot purgatory isn't a lack of AI policy. It is an architectural mismatch between how the enterprise manages risk and how AI actually generates thought.
Wow.
When you bolt a probabilistic intelligence onto a deterministic framework built for absolute causal closure, you get a massive diffusion of accountability.
Accountability diffusion.
Yeah.
Meaning when things inevitably go wrong, everybody just points fingers at each other, or worse, at the machine.
Exactly. In a deterministic system, if a financial report is wrong, you follow the sign-off chain to a specific human being.
Right.
But when an AI generates a 50-page report and a human passively reviews it, well, who owns the decision?
Good question.
No one knows where the human intent ends and the model's statistical inference begins. And in management science, diffused accountability is no accountability at all.
Which brings us right back to that pause in the meeting room.
Yep, there it is.
If you're listening to this and you felt that hesitation, that's why. People hesitate because they subconsciously know they don't have a framework to own the output.
Exactly.
So what does this all mean for us? Since we can't force our new jazz-playing AI to fit into our old classical music boxes, how do leaders actually build systems that can handle probabilistic intelligence?
Well, this is where we need a massive paradigm shift. We have to look at Scott Wise's core reframe from the Architecting Trust article.
Okay, what's the reframe?
The shift is this. Trust is not a downstream output of policy. It is the upstream condition that makes policy meaningful.
Upstream condition. That kind of flips the whole standard corporate playbook on its head.
It really does.
Usually we write the policy, we train the staff on the software, and we just expect trust to pop out at the end of the line like a finished product.
Right, and that outside-in approach is exactly what creates compliance without conviction.
Compliance without conviction.
Yeah. Wise describes AI adoption as a ripple effect. Most governance operates at the outer rings of the ripple, things like business normalization and shared learning. But the ripple has to start at the center, and the absolute center ring is personal trust.
Okay, let's clarify personal trust. Because I know some executives who think trusting AI just means standing up at an all-hands meeting and saying, "We love AI, Go use it, be innovative.
Oh, yeah.
That isn't what we were talking about here, is it?
Far from it. Personal trust is the practical, hard-earned confidence that a leader develops only when they personally wrestle with AI outputs in their own daily work.
Ah,
It is about developing the judgment to know when to act on an output and when to heavily scrutinize it. It's learning where AI amplifies your thinking and where it falls dangerously short.
makes sense.
If leaders don't build this personal foundation, the organization accumulates what Wise calls judgment debt.
Judgment debt. That sounds like a silent liability just sitting on the balance sheet waiting to explode.
Yeah. It basically is. It is the liability of accepting AI outputs without genuine applied human discernment. Organizations that simply mandate trust from the top down are asking their employees to extend a confidence they have never actually seen their leaders demonstrate.
Wow.
You cannot govern a territory you haven't personally navigated.
Okay, so let's play devil's advocate for a minute. Let's say an organization ignores this core reframe. They keep trying to bolt AI onto their old deterministic systems, they mandate it, and they rely purely on policy. What actually happens on the ground?
The data paints a very clear, very concerning picture. The hidden costs of this fake trust are just staggering.
What kind of data?
Let's look at 3 specific data points from the research. First, we have what is called the supervisor's tax.
Supervisor's tag.
Yeah, because accountability is so diffused, 77% of intensive AI users actually report an increased workload.
Wait, increased? The entire sales pitch of AI is efficiency. It's supposed to save us time.
It is, but because these teams are operating in a deterministic culture that demands 100% causal closure, the burden of verifying probabilistic outputs is immense.
Oh, I see.
I like to compare it to hiring a brilliant but completely reckless intern.
Okay.
The intern can write a report in 10 seconds, but because you know they occasionally hallucinate facts, you have to verify every single sentence. The cognitive effort of double-checking completely eats up the efficiency gains.
That is painfully relatable. If I have to spend 3 hours checking every single fact because my neck is on the line if the intern is wrong, it's honestly faster to just write the report myself.
Exactly.
But surely the fix there is just training, right?
Right.
If we train our teams to be better at prompting, better at using the AI, then the outputs get better and the supervisor's tax goes down.
Well, this raises an important question, and the answer is deeply counterintuitive.
Oh, no.
The second data point comes from a fascinating study from Aalto University and LMU Munich. It reveals a reversed Dunning-Kruger effect in AI usage.
Okay, hold on. Usually the Dunning-Kruger effect means that people with very low ability heavily overestimate their competence, while experts are more appropriately cautious.
Right.
How is it reversed with AI?
With AI, the researchers found that higher AI literacy actually brings more overconfidence and less precision.
Really?
Yeah. The more technical knowledge a user had about the tool, like the better they were at prompt engineering, the worse they were at actually judging their own task performance.
Here's where it gets really interesting. Are you telling me that sending my executive team to a high-end prompt engineering boot camp might actually be making our trust problem worse?
It absolutely can if it isn't paired with critical reasoning. The study suggests that highly AI-literate individuals fall into cognitive offloading.
Explain cognitive offloading.
Yeah.
What is happening in the brain of a trained prompt engineer that makes them lazy?
It comes down to how human brains conserve energy. When humans master the syntax of a tool, meaning they know exactly how to write the perfect prompt, format it, and operate the software fluently, our brains naturally relax.
Oh, because we feel like we've done the hard part.
Exactly. We assume that because we inputted the instructions flawlessly, the semantics, the actual meaning and truth of the output must also be flawless. We mistake technical fluency for certainty. We're completely disengage the metacognitive process of reflection and just accept the answer.
That is terrifying.
Mm.
Just because you know how to talk to the machine perfectly doesn't mean the machine's logic is actually sound.
Yep.
Which brings us to the AI itself. If the human is offloading their cognition, why is the AI so incredibly convincing, even when it is completely wrong?
That is the third data point, the confidence illusion.
The confidence illusion.
The models we use are aligned using reinforcement learning from human feedback, or RLHF. During the training phase, human raters consistently rewarded the AI for using decisive, authoritative language, and they penalized it for using hedged or uncertain language.
So we literally train the AI to sound like the most confident person in the room, regardless of whether it actually knows the answer.
Yes. We taught the models that hesitation earns a lower score. So in high-stakes domains, modern aligned models are nearly as confident when they are wrong as when they are right.
That's a huge problem.
Think about your own organization. In a traditional corporate structure, managerial confidence is often used as a proxy for competence. We inherently trust the executive who speaks with absolute certainty.
Right, that's just human nature.
So when we apply that human heuristic to an AI, the supervisor's tax skyrockets and judgment debt accumulates silently across the enterprise.
Okay, let's take a breath and synthesize this.
Mm.
We know the deterministic trap is failing. We know that bolting on policies creates a massive supervisor's tax.
Right.
And we know that basic AI literacy might actually be making us dangerously overconfident because the AI is engineered to sound like an authoritative CEO.
Exactly.
Armed with all this reality, what does the actual action plan look like? What should a corporate leader listening to this do differently on Monday morning?
It really comes down to 4 practical steps to architect trust from the inside out.
Okay, step 1.
Step 1 is modeling visible leadership. Stop championing AI at town halls. You need to start visibly showing your team how you personally evaluate AI outputs.
Meaning?
When you present an AI-assisted analysis to your team, explicitly explain your reasoning for why you trusted that specific output. Show them your discernment process.
You have to show your math. Let them see you actively questioning the system. If you want them to be skeptical, you have to model skepticism.
Spot on. Now, step 2 is defining your meta-sovereignty using the agency continuum.
Meta-sovereignty is a heavy term.
It is, but it simply means making a conscious, deliberate decision about how much agency you are delegating to the AI for any given task. You have to explicitly choose your mode, and there are 5 modes on this continuum.
I'm going to spend some time on this because I think this is the most actionable tool for our listeners. Let's walk through the 5 modes of the agency continuum and give me a real-world corporate example for each one. What is the first mode?
First is sanctuary. This means no AI at all. Full human execution to protect original thinking and moral accountability. A corporate example would be deciding on layoffs or a CEO writing an apology letter for a massive company failure.
Yeah, that makes sense. You want 0 statistical generation there. You need pure human empathy and accountability.
Exactly. Second is intern. The AI drafts or assists, but the human heavily oversees and directs.
Okay.
This is for when the stakes are moderate. For example, using AI to generate 10 different subject lines for a marketing email. The AI does the grunt work, but the human makes the final selection.
Okay, I use that one all the time. Third mode.
Third is peer. This is a collaborative strategic partnership where you bounce ideas back and forth. You aren't just giving it tasks, you are asking it to challenge your thinking.
Oh, interesting.
An example would be a CFO uploading a draft of their financial strategy and prompting the AI, act as a skeptical activist investor and poke holes in my logic.
I love that. You are using its probabilistic nature as an advantage to actually find blind spots. Moving up the continuum, what is the 4th mode?
Fourth is agent. This is high autonomy AI execution, where the human monitors on the loop rather than being in the loop.
On the loop.
Right. The AI is taking action on its own, and you are just watching the dashboard to ensure it doesn't break boundaries. An example might be an AI customer service agent that is authorized to process returns under $50 without human approval.
Got it. And the final mode.
5th is machine. Full autonomous execution used only for maximized efficiency in low-risk, highly repetitive domains.
Like what?
Think of an AI automatically extracting invoice numbers from incoming vendor PDFs and pasting them into your accounting software.
That is so helpful. Having this agency continuum gives an organization a shared vocabulary.
Yes, exactly.
Like you can walk into a meeting and say, for this product launch, the AI is acting as a peer, but for the data entry, it's a machine, which immediately sets the expectation for how heavily the team needs to scrutinize the work.
It clarifies intent versus execution instantly. Now, step 3 is practicing assurance.
Assurance.
This is a personal habit. Before you act on any AI output, you must ask yourself one vital question. Under what conditions should I act on this?
Oh, that's good.
It forces you to define the threshold of trust required for that specific context.
Right, because the conditions for acting on a marketing brainstorming list are very, very different from the conditions for acting on a regulatory compliance report.
Exactly, which leads to the final step. This is the ultimate bridge between probabilistic AI and the deterministic enterprise. For high-stakes work, consider using compiled AI.
Wait, compiled? I thought AI was just an open-ended chat box where it guesses the next word. How do you lock a probability into a repeatable code? What does compiled AI actually mean for the non-engineers in the room?
What's fascinating here is how it solves the architectural mismatch we talked about at the very beginning. Most AI usage right now acts as an interpreter. It calls the large language model at runtime.
Right.
Every time you ask it a question, it spends tokens. Tokens are essentially the computing currency that AI uses to process text. Every time it runs, it costs money, and it maximizes non-determinism, meaning it might give you a slightly different answer next time.
So if it's running every single time, you never have causal closure.
Correct. Compiled AI shifts the paradigm. You use the probabilistic AI during the design phase. You let the AI brainstorm, write the logic, and generate actual software code.
Okay.
But once a human validates that logic, you compile it into deterministic zero-token code.
So zero token means it's no longer using the AI's brain to guess. It's just hard-coded standard software.
Yes, it executes as traditional software, it costs 0 AI tokens to run, and it provides 100% auditable repeatability.
I see it now. You get the brilliance of the jazz improvisation to write the sheet music, but then you hand that sheet music to a classical orchestra to play it perfectly the same way every time.
I love that analogy, yes. It satisfies the organization's need for deterministic causal closure, but leverages the AI's probabilistic power upstream.
That makes perfect sense.
By practicing these 4 steps, visible leadership, the agency continuum, the assurance question, and compiled AI, a leader effectively reconcentrates accountability back into human hands.
This has been an incredible shift in perspective. To quickly recap the journey for everyone listening, we have to stop trying to bolt probabilistic AI onto deterministic, rule-based infrastructure.
Yes.
It's an architectural mismatch, and we have to stop relying on outside-in policies that do nothing but create the supervisor's tax and accumulate massive judgment debt.
They really do.
Instead, we need to architect trust from the inside out, starting with personal trust and visible leadership.
It is truly the only way to move from compliance to actual conviction and finally escape pilot purgatory. If you want to dive deeper into this framework and see how you can apply these steps to your own leadership style, I highly recommend finding more AI for Leaders content and resources at scottwise.ai.
Absolutely. So we'll leave you with this to mull over as you head into your next meeting. Think about that pause we talked about at the beginning.
Yeah.
That pause. Think about your own daily interactions with AI outputs. If your team started adopting AI exactly the way you personally model it right now, are you accelerating them toward innovation, or are you just accumulating massive judgment debt?